The channel. Are the Where's episode 3? OBS. Hello.
Aloha.
Let's see if we're live. Should be live. There we go. We're somewhat live. Let me check on the phone. We're alive, but we only have the static image. Live.
Maybe I should just do it.
See? Check on the phone. It's stuck.
Well, maybe you can like play the intro or something.
One watching, that's probably us. I can't hear you.
Are you talking into my phone?
I literally can't hear you
Sorry.
if you don't turn. I have isolation headphones on.
I'm talking into the microphone. Oh,
Okay.
it's 5:31.
Yeah, but OBS is betraying us, so there's nothing we can do.
Try hitting the transition button.
What do you mean? Where's that?
The button in the middle of the screen, top.
Fade?
In the middle of the screen, up to the top.
Transition.
Boom.
That's...
It's just.
I don't think it's going to help.
We need 30 seconds. See, OBS has switched to the camera.
Yeah, but it didn't do it here.
Because it hasn't been 30 seconds.
Ah,
there we
nice.
go.
All right, the 11-year-old is the master producer. Good job.
Big brain.
Big brain. All right, so I got to write down. Let me just take a note. Hit transition.
Yep.
Hit transition. All right, for our audience, we have a brand new intro we will kick the show off with as soon as I get this monitor out of my ears. All right. Let me pop the chat out.
Yep.
Pop out. Close that. Oh, you use your phone sometimes to watch the chat, don't you?
Sometimes.
Oh, wow. If your producer is listening, maybe she can bring the phone.
Oops,
All right. We'll pause the sound and everybody get ready for
Everybody get
the
ready.
brand new intro. There's no sound. Why is there no sound?
I think it's because we have the stream muted.
It's because I have to change from
One
studio.
part bread, one part pill. This is the Bread Pill Weekly. You've been red pilled, now be the red pill.
All right. That was our famous intro. Can you bring his phone? He uses it to monitor chat. All right.
Well, he's
All right. In Discord, maybe. First order of business is to show our Discord channel.
Yes.
Abject Chaos. You saw the intro. I am your host, G. Ross, co-host.
Angular.
We want to thank our subscribers. Remind everyone to hit thumbs up, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell, put a comment. This is every Friday at 5:30. We take calls at 5:50 Central, which you can see there's the Discord information right there.
Yes.
Transition. Is there a way to automatically transition? Duplicate, swap preview, output, duplicate. I don't know. All right. So let's kick off with our Bible reading from ESV.
Yes.
1 Kings 11:7. Then Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and for Molech, the abomination of the Ammonites, on the mountain east of Jerusalem. So this is a point where King Solomon, son of David, King David, is busy doing pretty much almost the worst thing you can. He's building a place of worship for false gods. The types of things that happen here are truly abominable, if you dig into the history of that. And Solomon started strong. Did he end strong? Most would say yes. I tend to read that he did. But this is definitely a low point. And I'm fascinated with when and how Solomon really fell. We won't comment that right now, but it shows up early on and grows and grows and grows would be my summary as I understand it. Back to... All right, so we can get to our news of the week. I have a million articles here. Boom. By the way, all these links are in the description. We'll start with... Let me get my show notes out. We'll start with... we're going to obviously cover the pandemic. Try to keep that to a dull roar. Take up half the show like last time. Going back all the way to January 3rd. Here's just a link. We won't play it here for copyright strike reasons and save a little time. But this guy is talking about the death rates of working age people skyrocketing in the last few months. This guy is an insurance adjuster or a top dog at an insurance company. So I would tend to kind of really want to listen to him. And he gets into some discussion that says some of what they're seeing may not be directly illnesses, still may be pandemic related, and that's kind of up to maybe further discussion down the road. Let me turn the next link over to Angular. What do you got for us? You want to pull up? What do you want to pull up?
The link that I sent you.
You have the penny?
Yes, the penny. So
All
this
right.
guy somehow turns a penny to a house in 1 week. Nobody knows. Well, we know how. He documents it in the video. But the fact that people can actually go out and do crazy things like this shows our resilience as a human species. And he, of course, gifts the house to some homeless person. Well, they're living in an apartment. That person and their husband. They both own a small business. So, yeah. They own a small business, and they were living in an apartment. But they were gifted that house, not in the background, but a different one, by that guy.
Right on.
Standing
Reminder, our Discord channel for call-ins in 13 minutes is on the screen. Don't see the people in the Discord yet, but that's okay. I see Corrupt Lemon. Holy Lifter, not to dox people, but I see some people in general. Back to the next news story. Close that up. Now here we're looking at the Federal Register Privacy Act of 1974 requires government agencies to do a certain thing. In this case, there's a thing called the PSA, Pretrial Services and Agency. I'll leave the link in the description. Essentially, quote, is creating this system of records notice to permit the collection of information related to religious accommodations to the vaccination requirement, unquote. I take this to mean that, in short, as probably pretty usual in our world, if you request a religious accommodation to a vaccine requirement against some government requirement, your name will be logged.
Sounds kind of creepy.
Right. You want the next news story?
Yeah, what's the next one on my roster?
You have this guy.
So, he kept a French fry in his mouth for a 1.5 hour flight. 1.5 hour flight. So he wouldn't wear a mask. Which I wouldn't do just because, I mean, you can see why the fry will get soggy and you will not want
Right.
to eat it after that. You will
Soggy
just
fry.
throw away the fry.
Right. Next up, we've got Something about Biden's COVID vaccine mandate. Let's see. Oh, close that. Oh, yeah, GE. This was on what day? Wherever the day is. January 14. Just kind of fallout, I think, from the Supreme Court. GE says, all right, 174,000 workers. Next day, they're like, all right, no testing. Let's see. Yeah. So, just sharing.
Mm.
Are you doing Hoi 4 review today?
Yes.
That would be now,
So
if you want.
Hearts of Iron 4, best video game I've played ever, besides Bloons TD6, which is also a good game. But Hoi 4 is amazing because it's just the simple nature that you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, pretty much. This is the Steam window.
I was just going to pause it. I don't want to steal their video.
Yeah, but that's kind of a look at the map. Not, of course, it sets you in either 1936 or 1939. It's an amazing game. I really recommend anybody watching to try it. Of course, to try it, you'll have to buy it.
Right.
$40. Still,
All
though,
right.
it's good.
All
It's a
right.
very
Next
good
news story? Or is
Yep,
there more?
next news story.
All right. Closing that up. Here's a video that I kind of want to encourage perhaps some potential viewage. It's called The New Normal. It's from Happen.network. Hat tip to Joe Allen, who I saw in the War Room. If you want to get creeped out by, I guess, transhumanism in the future and how computers are taking over your world, that would be that.
So,
Yep.
Ray Bradbury, I just want to say he's a really good poetry artist. For a couple days now, I've been realizing that his There Will Come Soft Rains, very good short story. I recommend you read it. It's basically about, it takes place in 2026, and it's about this atomic blast happened, and an automated house kept running until a fire burned it down. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Nice.
It is kind of like our world today.
Ooh.
If
Next link
anybody
up.
wants to figure
Oh.
out how that works, I issue a challenge. Write it down in the comments if you can find out.
Can you
how
talk closer to
that
the mic,
works.
please?
Alright.
It's getting quiet.
You can write it down in the comments if you figure out how that relates to our world today.
Right on. Let's check Discord, see how it's stacking up. If you want to call in 6 minutes, hop into general or call in voice chat. That'll be our sign that you want to be a caller. Next up, I've got this article with Dana White, kind of coming get the back of Joe Rogan, which you would expect, right? They're pretty good friends. Dana is Joe's boss for the UFC stuff. Link is in the description. He's talking about some of the alternate treatments or some of the various treatments that has gotten Joe Rogan's couple of podcasts pretty much almost censored, but you can still find them in the congressional record, as we mentioned a week or two ago. Here's a quick quote, a pull quote. Now all of a sudden you can't dig them up to save your life. The doctors won't give them to you. I happen to know maybe some doctors that will, but his point is solid. Let's go to the next one. I think we're done with COVID news if I'm reading my notes right. Let me see. Shouldn't say COVID. The pandemic. Now going to the insurrection slightly over a year ago. Got some articles covering that.
Yes.
This is some of the prisoners that are still in prison. I guess it's been a year, about a year. I can't remember exactly when they were arrested. You'll see this pop up from time to time. Some of the congresspersons will go and kind of visit them or check in on them. It's kind of worth looking through these quotes. Real quick, just to kind of TLDR it. There's some promise of some upcoming videos that we have that are top secret. I kind of tend to, look a little scant at that, but there are still some pretty powerful quotes in here. Take it as you will. Links in the description. Kind of related, we've got a little more information on the Whitmer kidnapping plot. Let's see what my notes were for that. Going back a link. Yeah, you'll find it. There's a thing about some FBI folks giving their badges to the police on the video. You can't see that video yet. That's part of the claim. For the Gretchen Whitmer thing here. Here's the interesting thing is there's 12, maybe 13 FBI informants out of the small, tight-knit group. I think that's more than half. Don't know for sure that's more than half. I'm tempted to skim over this stuff, but that caught my ear. We got 3 more minutes before our co-host has to go. Here's a little bit about Ray Epps. You may have seen him in the news. He testified to Congress in November. He's testifying again. I think I mentioned him last week. Here's just a little more information. They're basically dragging him back out. Not sure if it's because they have to or what. Not really sure. That was on January 18. Moving to January 19. Again, all these links are in the description. This is kind of just a quick survey. You may have heard the Canadian truckers were blocking U.S. border checkpoints. They say, or at least the Yahoo News headline here says, and you can dig in there, something about some vaccine mandates were prompting this protest, I guess you could call it.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, do you want to read one?
Sure.
All right, randomly. I don't know if this one's... you know I love this one.
Scraps the vaccine requirement.
Who scraps?
Starbucks.
Good old Starbucks. I'm a big
get
fan.
That dream job after all, Dad.
Yes, I'm big into Starbucks.
I think it's great to see more and more companies turning down that little appeal.
I think I follow you. Let's go one more about the... That wasn't insurrection. That was in the wrong place. That was an insurrectionist. But let's go to one more that I think is about the insurrectionists. No, I don't know why this is going to say. Check this out. Kind of a sad image. Some
Why?
people trigger by it. I get a little triggered.
I get also really quick.
Yeah, I mean, taping it to your face. Let the kid do it. If you kind of need to bolster that mask. I could see. I can see how it may just be an unfortunate picture, but ooh.
I mean,
maybe
why would you? Is that even legal? I don't think that's legal.
What if the kid said, "Please help me"? We don't know. I mean, I didn't dig into it that deep, but yeah, I mean, it's making the rounds. I think it's an older picture. It's kind of remaking the rounds. Here's somebody who will not run again. There's apparently a handful. Oh yeah. Kinzinger, Katko, some of the crew that on the Republican side did in fact vote to impeach Trump, sent it over to the Senate for whether they would convict or not, which they ended up not. But just interesting, some people are collecting up the sort of those names who are not running again. Maybe the correlation, we could speculate.
You can speculate all day.
Yep. Next. At 5:50, I have an alarm. Please don't interrupt the show like this. Just on mic. Little Quora discussion. What I found is I didn't remember this statement, but apparently there had been a point in time where our current White House person says the George Floyd death had more of an impact worldwide than the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. I do remember hearing a video of him saying that. I find it really easy to go on Google and find all sorts of people explaining why he didn't mean what it sounds like he meant. So if you want to assuage your concerns, you can just Google that super easy, and you can find out that he didn't mean what it sounds like he exactly meant. Yep.
Well, we have a Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but we don't have a George Floyd Day. So
we could get one. That's kind of new, right? George Floyd.
Yeah, but what does he mean by that?
that's what I'm saying. Like you can it's a short show. One can Google it and you'll see all kinds of what he really meant and whatnot.
But if we need so many people to debunk that, why did he
Not to
say it
debunk
so
that.
weirdly?
He said it, and the question is, what did he really mean? We can speculate. He's a leader of the free world, right? Or at least in that position. So, all right, it is time for my
Gotta
co-host to
skedaddle.
go. I'm going to
Band
spend
party.
the next 10 minutes watching the chat and watching
Band
the.
party, bye.
Yep. Gonna mute your microphone.
Oh.
And watch. Hey, stop! Never do that. Did you hear me? All right. Next up. Oh, pausing the. All right. Glenn Youngkin. You might remember he became Virginia governor, and this new story is from the 15th. Signs 11-day one executive actions. This really is from the Department of Elections Have Consequences, which we already know. Next up, checking my notes. Miguel Cardona helped drive the Department of... Oh, yeah, so if you were following where the DOJ was proving parents going to the... It was DOJ was probing parents going into school boards. Apparently there's a name now kind of emerging as of a couple days ago. Miguel Cardona. I just kind of thought that was interesting. You know, I'm not overly tracking it, but it caught my ears. Next up, if you want to hear Dan Crenshaw kind of going toe-to-toe with a tough questioner, you know, which, I mean, I think politics should be a little, every now and then, you know, kind of uppity, right? With discourse, get it going, passion. There's a little bit of that going back and forth. So I won't play the video here, but the link is in the description advertisement. Next up, we've got, a little more of that. He's talking about the political prisoners or insurrectionists, as some might say. I am not going to click whatever this is down here. You can still see the thing. If you want to see a little of the coverage of... I mean, it's a pretty bold question that came at Joe Biden. Had a little bit to do with mental fitness. That was from a Newsracks reporter. We're quoting MSN here, so you can kind of get that flavor. Next up. So I really don't watch the Glenn Beck podcasts. Don't really track those these days. Let's see, where are we? But there's two kind of dense things that are really interesting here. This is the iHeartRadio. Yeah. So what's essentially going on here is New Hampshire lawmakers are banning ESG policies. They are strictly forbidding the banks that do things in that state, or they're at least contemplating, this law is being written up and sent around, where you can't make loan decisions based upon like which groups these people are in or which political causes they donate to, things like that. So I would summarize it as kind of a anti-woke capital move coming out of New Hampshire. I don't think it's done. It's just being proposed. You can check I didn't listen to I did actually hear the podcast on another show, this portion. Just wanted to come up with the link for you. I try to go closer to the original whenever I collect these up. And also he mentions a West Virginia treasurer who is moving some of their holdings for like pension funds. You know, there's two real ways that sort of your personal capital is impacting world capital. That would be through taxes and pension funds. Those are the two major ways. So when the state of West Virginia, which has a large pension fund management thing going on by the treasurer, they're pulling out of BlackRock, which is kind of like pulling investments out of components of China. You could say possibly even the CCP wanted to bring that implication too. That's pretty deep dive news, or I think that's a deep cut. You can comment in the description or in the comment if that's a deep cut or not. Let me check real quick for callers. I'm being delinquent on that. Where's my Discord? No one's in the chat rooms, so fine. right. We got a few more minutes. Squeeze in some more news here. Just a picture of Tonga. Heartbreaking. Oh, yeah. This, from what I could tell, a few hours in, like it was late that night, the hostages were all released. I think things got taken care of. I heard that Ken Paxton kind of indicated a little bit of some of what you could deduce or know about the perpetrator. I don't like to give a lot of airtime to perpetrators of stuff like this personally, but FBI was kind of probably correctly being a little bit closed on some of what they knew about that for now. Here is an article on Yahoo News, link in the description. The hostage holder had mentioned Afia Siddiqui and some of the demands in order to release the hostages. They did release the hostage. I think that got negotiated without anything about Afia Siddiqui, but thought you might want to just see that. Next up, this is kind of interesting to me. Otherwise, why would I have put it in there? This is from our Did You Know segment. This is an old article of 2006, but this comes up from time to time. There's a lady from Newsmax that got fired who's going to pop up on the Mike Lindell Pillow Guy network supposedly in about a month. This is what actually first got me kind of digging into this again recently. But just wanted to point out, you've got a way for a DNA vaccine to basically make you glow in the dark. Not exactly, but for some amount of hours, there's a gene expression using Firefly polymerase called luciferase. One quick thought I had, which is if you want to market and sell this stuff, do you really want to call it luciferase? That probably comes from the Latin to shine or glow or be a source of light. That's the lady. Okay, so that's kind of the introduction. I forgot I had this link in the description. If you want to dig a little bit into a person who said on Twitter that recent mRNA vaccines had this, that's been debunked. I get it. But since 2006, there's been discussions of that kind of thing can happen, could be considered. So we'll see where she goes with her new career with Pillow Guy. Uniform Code of Military Justice. I was digging into a little bit of this, not deeply, but we've been having some tweaks over the last year or two to not only that, but I think this next one, nope, right here. Some Geneva, what defines a belligerent occupier. In short, if you want to covertly occupy a nation, you're allowed to do so for 365.25 days, roughly speaking, if I read this right. Then after that, you're classified as a belligerent. Noting today is January 21. We'll see what these things bring. Did you know about the Hughes Glomar Explorer? What got me interested in this was the K-129. This thing sank. Sounds a lot like The Hunt for Red October, the old movie and book from Tom Clancy. You can dig in a little bit. Let's see if I have it. I don't have it here. But you can dig in a little bit. Google around or DuckDuckGo around with the K-129. See if you can find some conspiracies around that. They're pretty fun. I think it was going to be... Well, let me give a hat tip to Wano Savin. If you know who that is, great. If you don't, private message me or put a comment. I'll tell you more about Wano Savin. But he's named well. Let's put it that way. And let's see, we got about 90 more seconds. No, 60 more seconds. Man, I could almost get through my... Let me just split screen through this. This next one... Well, covered that. I don't remember why I have this in. This may be more... This may be some more belligerent stuff. If I... Let's see, ESD... Yeah, this is... Just read this link, too. The ESD WHS mill. You can catch up on who is or isn't a belligerent and when you can do certain things and all that. It's a 1 year timer from, let's just say, someone who covertly manipulated a nation's rulership, I guess would be one way to put it. Here's an interesting one. I kind of barely heard about this. Russia and England had a recent, when was this article? January 7th. Had a, almost collided into each other or hit each other. Happens from time to time, I guess. Another hit from the ridiculous, ludicrous plaid department. He's gone plaid. I didn't know the U.S. federal government was regulating French dressing, but big French dressing can breathe a sigh of relief. We're no longer breathing down their back with regulations. Link is in the description. You might remember from a week or two we joked about Novak Djokovic and his name being kind of like Magic Johnson. Here's a little joke I heard. He becomes the first professional athlete in history to be banned from a major sport for not taking drugs. Here's a little picture I saw. Crowd control are operating. It's just a typo. I think this is actually them saying we're regulating occupancy. I think they were doing a reduced occupancy because this was in kind of a area with a Japanese food market, and I think they're just trying to keep us healthy. Love that place. Here's a little interesting fact. Here's a photograph of some food at a restaurant near there. Photograph is image. I love true statements. Popcorn Day was 2 days ago, so hopefully you got your popcorn. 4 more links. Here's a cathedral. I just wanted to point this out. Fantastic cathedral. You probably know about Cologne Cathedral. Made in Germany. Took 600 years to complete. Finished 140 years ago. I wonder what kind of cranes, tools, and ladders and things they used. I'm sure people study that. Fascinating. Did you ever see this building? Did you know this existed? This is the Singer Building. Came down in 1968. I think it was put up, I want to say 1908, but 1968. You're still seeing it? All right, quick check for callers. We really do want to one day encourage callers. Quick check for comments. Gonna go, oh, hello. Hello, Angular, the co-host. Nice, I see you. All right, let's might as well just quickly run through 2 more. If you want to see some of the P waves that came out of, that sounds funny. That's what they call them, that come out of Tonga. They were apparently a little different than usual. Maybe watch the video, link in the description. And we already covered that. So let's hit our intro and we'll be out of here. We're here next. Let's check the checklist. You know, it's the only way to make sure I follow it. We're here every week at 5:30 Central Time. Calls start at 5:50. Really, the goal here, I'll just wax for a second. We can start cutting the 20 minutes of news shorter and shorter. We want to get dialogue going. Don't want to hear just G. Ross and Angular's opinions on things. We're just really just kind of digging in the news, kickstarting some things. We intend to be here at this time all the time, so you can count on it. Start learning how to do the Discord call. I finally did a Discord call into one of my favorite channels, and that's kind of what sparked this. I thought it was so fun. Let me thank Craig Mason for his show. You know, he's inspired by some of the longtime greats, and now I'm inspired by him. I want to thank our subscribers, and we'll go into overtime. We're working on some alternate channels that are a little more underground, so we could go from here to there and get into some real nitty-gritty, but got to get the permission to get on those deep underground channels first. And let me just hit the intro for fun, and that'll be our out. What was that?
One part bread, 1 part pill. This is the Bread Pill Weekly. You've been red pilled, now be the red pill.